I was in the hype of growing, expanding. And then one year, I lost everything. And because of that loss I had, I managed to have the opportunity to be connected with the true me and find my mission. Between 1995 and 2000, I was running a startup based in Taiwan, and we expanded to China. The company started with 2 co-founders, and in a couple of years, we had 250 people. I left the company I co-founded because I believe that this decision would prevent the unnecessary conflict when the company at that moment needed solidarity. Because of that, I came to the UK, I started a new life, and I built the new set of friends. Had that not had happened, I would not have been here, and I would not have British children. So, I really didn't lose anything. At the beginning, when the children were very young, they responded when I spoke Chinese. And then they realized that actually, most people, they speak English. So they started refusing. I saw that they were not interested in learning Chinese. And after searching for solutions, I couldn't find any. So I started drawing on notebooks, and then I started using my computer to show what the character means. Each character is like a piece of art. After breaking down thousands of Chinese characters, I discovered there are only about 70, 80 building blocks. If you know those 70, 80 building blocks, you can construct hundreds and thousands of characters. I had the vision in my mind. The type of illustrations has to be something universal, something striking. They have to look like what the character means, and something that everybody from different cultural, linguistic background can understand. After I showed a couple friends the method I developed, I decided to do a Kickstarter campaign. We tried to raise 75,000, and we ended up with 195,000, 197,000 pounds. This is really not just about learning Chinese. The mission for Chinesey is to bridge the gap between the East and the West, because our future depends on our ability to bring the East and the West together in a peaceful and productive relationship. My children have been my inspiration from the beginning. We started with a napkin. Now we have games, apps, and publications available in over 19 languages in 30-something countries. Without going through this process, it's hard to understand. When bad things happen, you never know. There's another door that could open for you. I don't have a job. I have a mission.
Welcome to this edition of Tech Talk. One of the biggest challenges facing the real estate industry right now is viability. It's been revealed that 20% of agencies in Australia are struggling to even break even. With downward pressure on fees increasing, it's reasonable to assume that business owners will be looking for more productivity while needing to cut back on their overheads. Philippines outsourcing company Beepo, one of our sponsors, have revealed that 62% of all of their inquiries is now coming from the real estate industry, with 38% of those being for property management. And property management by way of assistance. With this increasing demand, Beepo have turned to Rockend, another one of our supporters, to develop an end-to-end property management solution. Scott Downing, who is the Chief Customer Officer for Rockend and Property Tree, joins us to discuss the offering. Scott, thanks for your time.
Good morning.
What would you outline are the services? What does this service entail, Scott?
So Rockend does actually use the services of Beepo for our own office work. So we went through a big piece of due diligence to choose a provider that we knew could support us as an organisation, but also understood the industry. So through that process, we have Beepo doing some of our back office marketing work and also some of our helping some of our customers on board. And throughout that, we started to hear from a lot of our customers around the pressure around commercial viability. And also a lot of talk started to come our way around what's being banded around as virtual property assistants. So we started to talk to Beepo around really how could we make sure that we helped our customers have a virtual assistant or outsource some of their mundane tasks in a way that was really quick for them, that was cost effective, but also, or more importantly, secured peace of mind for them around the quality of the work that would be being done for them. So not only around the security of their data, but knowing that when they turned this support on, they had the reassurance that Rockend had certified these assistants to be able to use Rockend software, so be that Rest Professional or Property Tree. And that's really where the journey started.
Yeah, well, like you, we also use Beepo. We've got a team of people there and found them very professional. While they, don't only focus on real estate, it's a very big part of what they do, and it's growing all the time. The reason for you developing this, I guess, came off the back of a lot of confidence in the product that Beepo put out. But were there any other reasons? I know that you mentioned there about viability of the industry, and I certainly touched on that in the opening as well. Do you see those who come to this service obviously benefiting from it quite quickly?
Yeah, we do. So we've also just recently done a property management survey of which we got over 1,000 responses from property management business owners or principals. And one of the top three things that came out for them as a concern or a front of mind topic was actually outsourcing to be able to get greater productivity from their office staff. So how do they grow their businesses with decreasing profit margins, but also without increasing the number of people that they needed to have in their office? And that was a real big piece of data that came our way. So that was another thing that sort of helped us realize that we wanted to put back into the industry and create something for them, i.e. the Rockend Property Assistant. Yeah.
Can we just briefly then touch on some of the property management services that can be outsourced?
Yeah, sure. So just before I answer that, I think one of the other things that really hit us when we were going through this and partnering with Beepo was I would go out and talk to a lot of our larger customers, and they were potentially already, or a lot of them were already using virtual assistants. And I asked them about what was their journey to get to this. And they were saying, I had to document my internal processes. I had to make sure that my staff didn't feel threatened that they would be losing jobs. Some of them had to create a new server. And very often they were sending some of their employees from their office out to their outsourced provider in the Philippines or India for up to 6 weeks to train the virtual assistant in their own processes. And it just didn't feel it felt counterintuitive to me that I'd have to turn off some of my business here to be able to put it over there. So what we did with Beepo would say, okay, so what are the offerings? What are the key things that we know from our expertise in the industry is currently being put in outsourcing? And how do we make sure that the processes are being done properly to maximize all the features within the software? And therefore, then that means that a customer can just call us or call Beepo and go, I want to outsource this task, this task, this task, and potentially it's up and running within 24 hours. So there's no security risks, there's no demand on their resource in their office, and there's absolutely no need to send someone overseas to ensure the quality of the work because we've already certified these people to be able to use the software. So there's three broad categories of service that can be done by a Rockend Property Assistant. So it's really about new property onboarding, so bringing that into your software and into your business. How do we put the property and all the details around that, which includes all of the marketing and the listings. The second sort of vertical is around new tenant onboarding. So how do we bring all the tenant details in, pre-occupancy, the leasing, all of the stuff that comes with that, scheduling the pre-move-in inspection, etc. There's then tenancy management, which is the third vertical, and all the things you would expect there around arrears management, routine inspections, maintenance, repairs. And then the third one is the end of the customer life cycle, which is the tenancy exit and all the administration that comes with that. So condition reports, scheduling, bond release, etc. So we've really done it in a way that's around the customer journey for our customers that use Rockend software. And obviously then the way that our customers are currently doing this is sort of saying, what are the mundane tasks that our employees actually really don't want to do? And if you sit down in your office and say, write on a board all of the things that you really don't like doing every day, these are the things that actually we can put into a Rockend property assistant, which means staff can then spend more time doing detailed conversations with their customers, business development, all the things that will help real estate people retain their strong staff because they're not dealing with mundane tasks, and it's more cost effective.
Scott, is there an ideal size for a property management business, one that would be suited to outsourcing? Do they get to that stage, or can it work at any stage?
It can work at any stage. So we've even been having conversations with people that we would call a new startup. So they're taking out Property Tree. They've only got their very first property in there in terms of it being a rental. And they're already looking at how can they run this business with a virtual assistant or a property assistant over in Beepo. So that they don't start their business and then have to change. This is the new way of working, and it's just the way that the business is being set up. So right up to, thousands of properties under management from one, there's no way. It is entirely up to the customer to be able to do that. You can do one task or you can do all 13. It's entirely your choice.
I want to ask you a few more questions about the survey, but before we do, and I guess this is some of your research as well, and you touched on it earlier in our conversation about the industry perception of outsourcing. Do you think it's improving? Because you touched on a few issues there that you'd discovered as you went out and walked around. But is that changing, do you think, Scott?
Yeah, and so we've been working with Beepo for over 12 months now. So we did a trip and obviously visited several suppliers and used our previous experience in outsourcing across India and Philippines and the skill that we have in Rockend in that space to make an informed choice of who we wanted to go to. And when we were talking to a lot of our customers around that, there was a lot of trepidation around data security and people not being skilled or educated to the right level. And even in just the last 6 to 8 months, that has completely flipped. So we've just run a series of leadership lunches and Evolve seminars with customers and prospects. And it's one of the, like I said, including in the survey, it's one of the top 3 sort of hot topics that everyone's talking about. And it's more around, my mate's done it and it seems to be going okay for his business or her business. Therefore, I feel like I should really start and open my eyes to this opportunity to help me grow my business and sort of stay abreast of what's happening in the industry. I think it's a choice. There's so many outsourcers that you can use and everyone has the decision is theirs. All I would say is just be really careful and check it out around the security because it's your data. And obviously check out the training and education for the people that will be working on your behalf as an extended part of your team. But people are much more open to that now. And I think we're starting to see the value of it in our industry because, these people they're university educated. We've got people out there that are more educated probably than you or I, and could be a doctor or an architect, and it's just, this is seen as a really good job to them. It's seen as a career path. And there's people that have been working in the outsourcing agencies for, 5-6 years that are now stepping into management. So it's a real career for them. And they're there. I think they need to be seen as an extension of your team, not a replacement of. And I think that's key.
Yeah, I think for too long we've looked at outsourcing as an opportunity to get, I call it cheap staff, but that's not the way to look at it because, as you rightly pointed out, they're highly skilled and in some cases, you have to pay them more than that cheap rate. Yep. But can I just ask you then, the research that you did, that you've reflected on already, and I believe we're going to put a copy of that with the compliments of Beepo and Rockend. Of course, down below there's a link to download it. What were some of the other key findings that came out of that for you in terms of trying to ramp this up, its importance?
Yeah, so I think that obviously there is the one around how do I maximize my sort of profit margins by as I grow my business without putting more cost into my business. And obviously this is one of the things that we've talked about, one of the solutions. The second one was really cloud readiness. So for the people in the industry that currently aren't using cloud-based software solutions or aren't using the APIs with all the multiple, I think every day I see a new app come out that supports this industry, that can give you time back. People that aren't playing in that space already, it was really around that apprehension and that intrigue of, how do I move to the cloud? Am I ready? Should I? Everyone's telling me I should. What does it mean for me? And really that stepping into that journey of, I need to start and look at this. And that's another reason why at Rockend, we've got the cloud readiness assessment, which is for our customers that are on our desktop product, but also for customers that aren't on our products that will help. We will assign a relationship manager to look through your current processes, look at how you're using your software, and then make solutions of how you can move to the cloud as painlessly as possible and help them on that journey. It's really around outsourcing and cloud readiness.
Yeah, because that was going to be my next question about cloud readiness, and you've touched on it quite nicely there and addressed that, because there are certain things you need to make sure that you're ready for, and that's actually what that assessment process will do. So if you're interested in doing that, then just check with Rockend, and I'm sure they'll be able to help you through that. Scott, thank you very much for your time. Really appreciate it. Endorse fully what you're doing with Beepo. I think they're a great operation, and we support them as they support us. And thank you very much for your support as well. My guest has been Scott Downing, who is the Chief Customer Officer for Rockend Property Tree. Scott, thanks for your time.
No worries. Thank you. Bye-bye.
AI unlocks the art of science.
When you open a bottle of beer, I don't think many people actually know the level of science that's filled into that bottle. Back in time, it took Carlsberg several years to produce a new beer. But using Microsoft artificial intelligence, we will be able to detect new flavors in a split second and develop better beers faster.
With AI, we redefine what's possible.
So cheers!
The Department of Health and Human Services focus is around shifting the trajectory of people's lives.
When we think about digital, we focus on the need to provide our employees with better tools and collaboration capabilities, information sharing across agencies and departments, and front-facing client systems. In human services, we focused on our ability to modernise outdated applications, enabling citizens to have a better mobile experience and automating work to remove inefficiency and paper flows. So we've delivered the online housing register where people apply online for social housing and the client incident management system.
We've built many applications to support Family Safety Victoria to address family violence. We are able to track incidents where Victoria Police have been attending violent situations and share that information across departments.
Our health services are very decentralised, so the challenge is delivering smart digital solutions which can be leveraged across all services. Victorian Health Incident Management System has reduced the time it takes for a nurse to complete an incident report significantly.
Safe scripts ensure that doctors and pharmacists have the right information when they're prescribing and dispensing medications to ensure the safety of their patients.
In Victoria, we've had unusual weather causing outbreaks of asthma. The thunderstorm asthma application is able to analyse weather data and to provide alerts to help people make better decisions about health emergencies.
Our department has a strong belief in social justice. In partnership with Microsoft, we're changing the lives of our citizens.